Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we dig into the juicy details of company reports so you don't have to. Today we're looking at American outdoor brands, and let me tell you, it's a case of business as usual for their annual proxy statement. It's packed with all the usual info about who's running the show and what they're getting paid, but there are always a few nuggets hidden in plain sight. If you like getting straight dope on corporate finances, hit that subscribe button and join our Discord community linked below, because we're going to break down what all these numbers really mean for you. So what is American Outdoor Brands all about? Well, they're in the business of making products for people who love the outdoors, hunting, fishing, camping, shooting, even personal defense. Think of all the gear that makes those activities possible. Their stock trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker IOUT. Looking at the numbers for their fiscal year 2025, things seem to be moving in a positive direction. They reported total net sales of $222.33 million, which is a healthy 10.6% increase from the previous year. Even better, their adjusted EBITDA, that's a way of measuring a company's profit before certain expenses, jumped a massive 80.8% to 17 sales into actual profit. They also ended the year with $23.4 million in cash, which gives them a good cushion. Now let's talk about the people steering the ship. This report lays out who's up for re-election as a director. We've got Barry M. Monheit nominated to continue as chairman of the board. Then there's Brian D. Murphy, who's the president and CEO. The other nominees are Bradley T. Favreau, Mary E. Gallagher, Gregory J. Glukowski Jr., and Luis G. Marconi. The board is recommending a vote for all of them, and there's no real drama here as they're all continuing their service. Let's take a closer look at some of these directors. Barry M. Monheit has been a director since 2020 and is the chairman of the board. His background is deep in financial and operational consulting, which is super valuable for a company. He's got experience with major restructuring firms, which means he knows how to navigate tough financial situations. Bradley T. Favreau has been on the board since 2022, and he's a partner at Engine Capital, which is an investment management firm. His financial expertise and experience in the investment world make him a good fit for overseeing the company's financial health. He's also on the board of another company, BR Group Inc., a specialty electrical contractor. Mary E. Gallagher joined the board in 2020 and brings a ton of financial leadership experience. She's been a chief financial officer for a few companies, including Wheels Up, a private aviation company, and has held top financial roles at United Technologies Corporation. Her background as a certified public accountant is also a big plus. Scroll Gregory J. Glukowski Jr. has also been a director since 2020, and before that served on the board of Smith & Wesson Brands. He has extensive experience in consumer-focused manufacturing and distribution, with roles at companies like Hampton Products International and the Hillman Group. He really understands high-volume production and getting products to customers. Luis G. Marconi came onto the board in 2022 and has over 37 years of experience in the CPG, food and beverage industry. He's worked with big names like Hormel Foods and Quaker Oats. His experience leading and growing well-known consumer brands internationally is a key asset. And of course, we have Brian D. Murphy, the president and CEO. He's been in that role since 2020 when the company went public, and before that he held executive positions within the company and even worked in investment banking. His deep knowledge of the company's operations is invaluable. So how much are these directors making well for their service? In fiscal year 2025, the non-employee directors received a mix of cash and stock awards. Barry M. Monheit, the chairman of the board, earned the most with a total of $2,723. These amounts include $10 to $54. And Mary E. Gallagher earned $954, and Mary E. Gallagher earned $1944, and Mary E. Gallagher earned $1940,254, and Mary E. Gallagher earned $1,254, and Mary E. Gallagher earned $1940,47,722, and Mary E. Gallagher earned $9,501 total $54, and Mary E. Gallagher earned $154, and Mary E. Gallagher earned $169,722 annual. Retainers, committee fees, and stock grants, which are meant to align their interests with the company's long-term success, and earned $22,200. Scroll executive compensation, which is always the most interesting part, right? We have Brian D. Murphy, our CEO, H. Andrew Fulmer, our CFO and Treasurer, and Brent Volgamot, our Chief Operating Officer. For fiscal year 2025, their base salaries saw modest increases. Brian D. Murphy's salary went up to $621,000. H. Andrew Fulmer's salary became $414,000, and Brent Volgamot's salary rose to $295,000. Scroll annual cash incentive bonuses. These are tied to company performance, specifically net sales and adjusted EBITDA. For fiscal year 2025, Brian D. Murphy received a bonus of $1,110.97, which is a staggering $1,788, also exceeding his target substantially. Brent Vollgemot received $263 again, showing excellent performance over his target. These bonuses reflecting strong company performance really highlight the outperformance we saw in those FY25 highlights. Scroll long-term incentive compensation cent. Then there are the long-term incentives paid out in restricted stock units or RSUs and performance-based restricted stock units or PSUs. These are designed to keep executives invested in the company's future. For example, Brian D. Murphy received RSUs valued at $7,251, $5,000 and $784, and PSUs which could be worth up to $1,451 through $5N725D1 Tavram Polving 451 $1,767 if performance targets are met. These awards usually vest over several years, encouraging executives to stay and grow the company. Looking at all the equity awards still held by the named executives as of April 30, 2025, we see some significant amounts. Brian D. Murphy, for instance, has unvested RSUs and PSUs that together are worth over $3 million. H. Andrew Fulmer has outstanding awards valued at over $1.2 million, and Brent Vollgemot has awards worth over $600,000. This shows a substantial portion of their total compensation is tied to the company's stock performance. Craven Theur's ratification of appointment of independent registered public accountants sent. Moving on to Proposal 2, the company is asking shareholders to ratify the appointment of Grant Thornton LL as their independent auditor for the fiscal year ending April 30, 2026. This is a pretty standard procedure to ensure the company's financial records are regularly checked by an outside firm. The fees for these services were $580 for 2026. This is a pretty standard procedure to ensure the company's financial records are regularly checked by an outside firm. The fees for these services were $580 in fiscal 2025. Nothing too unusual here. Scroll security ownership of certain beneficial owners and management sync. Now let's look at who owns the company. As of September 2, 2025, the directors and executive officers as a group owned about 5.3% of the company's stock. Brian D. Murphy, our CEO, has a decent stake with 19.5% of the owning 12.1%, and Hallador Investment Advisors Inc. holding 8.9442 shares representing 1.5% of the company. Looking at the major shareholders, we see Brandeis Investment Partners LP owning 12.1% and Hallador Investment Advisors Inc. holding 8.8%. These larger institutional investors often have a significant influence on the company's direction. Scroll overall analysis end. So what's our take on all of this? Well, American Outdoor Brands seems to be on a solid path. The significant jump in adjusted EBITDA shows they're becoming much more profitable and efficient. The executive compensation is heavily tied to performance, which is a good sign that leadership is incentivized to drive shareholder value. While the stock ownership by management isn't extremely high compared to some companies, the incentives are there through equity awards. The company is clearly committed to transparency with its board composition and committee structures. The biggest strength here is definitely the improved profitable and efficient in committee structures. The biggest strength here is definitely the improved profitable and efficient the committee structures. The biggest strength here is definitely the improved profitability and efficient operations. A potential weakness could be Bashavik-Dyer's Bicky Awards. The company is clearly committed to transparency with its board composition and committee structures. The biggest strength here is definitely the improved profitability and efficient operations. A potential Scroll deadlines for receipt of stockholder proposals. They've also laid out the deadlines for any stockholders who want to propose anything for next year's meeting. Don't miss these dates if you want your voice heard. Scroll overall assessments. In conclusion, American Outdoor Brands is showing positive financial momentum, and its leadership seems aligned with creating shareholder value through well-structured incentive plans. The focus on outdoor enthusiasts with a robust brand portfolio positions them well in their market. We'll be keeping an eye on their sustainability efforts and how they adapt their long-term incentives for next year. Alright, that's our breakdown of American Outdoor Brands' latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. See you next time.